guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my most requested video, which is how we bought our house with a 580 credit score. So I'm just going to walk you through the process of how we bought our house. Disclaimer, I am not a realtor, I am not a broker, I don't know the ins and outs on how to purchase a house. I'm just going to be sharing how we did it. If you have any questions, contact your realtor to find out exactly what you need to do and what steps you need to take, but I just want to share how we did it because it's kind of a little motivation for others who are struggling to get their credit score up and think that they have to wait for the perfect score to buy a house. You don't. You can buy a house with a low score. I also want to mention today's market is completely different than the market 2 years ago when I bought the house. As of right now, a 580 might not get you in the door, but a 600 might. You probably won't qualify for a great interest rate, but you can always refinance at a later date. So if you do have a 600, contact your realtor. You never know if you do have the money in the bank to do a down payment or to offer a really good deal to a seller. You never know. It's definitely worth taking that chance. It never hurts to ask. So all right, let's just dive into how we bought the house. So in October 2018, we moved in with my grandparents' house because we knew that the only way to be able to save money was to not have to pay rent. So we moved into my grandma's house. That way we were able to save as much money as possible every single week to go towards the down payment of the home. For us, for example, we were able to save about $2,000 every single month. So by the time February rolled around, we had about $10,000 saved, but that was after we paid off a bunch of loans and a bunch of credit card debt that we had that we needed to bring down in order to get our debt to income ratio to where it needed to be. So as much as we tried, we couldn't get Tommy's score to go above the 580. I don't know why. We paid off everything we needed to pay off, but it just wasn't budging in the time that we needed to budge. We didn't have 6 more months to wait because I was pregnant at the time. We wanted to get into the house before the baby came. My score jumped to a 582, which I didn't think was at all going to qualify for a home. I was scrolling through Facebook and I seen this realtor. Her name's Maria Lorraine. She actually helped me get into my studio apartment that I talk about. So I kept following her on Facebook. So years later, I see that she was doing a seminar, which was basically her and someone from the bank were going to be there, and you could just walk in and ask your questions. They were going to run your credit, write down all your information to let you know what you needed to do to get qualified, or if you were already pre-qualified. So I went in with the expectation of just asking questions. I was like, you know what, I have nothing to do, let me just go in. It was like 5 minutes down the road. But little did I know I was gonna go in and they were gonna tell me that I was pre-qualified because my score was a 582. I had the income and I had the money for the down payment. I ended up leaving that appointment with my pre-qualification letter that same day, which was crazy. So once you get that letter, you're able to shop around for houses. So that letter is just like the first step to getting in the door of just being able to shop around for houses, basically. As soon as we got that letter, we started looking for houses. So that same Sunday, which I got pre-qualified on a Tuesday, and then on that Sunday, we scheduled 3 visits to houses. The first 2 we hated. The third one is the house that we currently own today. We rolled up and we were like, how is it possible that we qualify for a house like this? Because I was only qualified for $150,000, and the houses at that time around $150,000 were very small. They were like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. We really wanted 3 bedrooms because we knew we were gonna eventually have more kids. We just wanted the space now so we didn't have to move later on again. So when we rolled up to this house, it was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. The basement is huge. It's unfinished, but it was a perfect project for us to work on eventually. And we didn't think that we were gonna qualify for this house because it was listed at 160,000. One thing to keep in mind is even if the house is listed a little bit more than what you're pre-qualified for, the numbers might match up to still being around what you're qualified for to pay monthly. So I was qualified for 150,000 or a $1,350 a month mortgage. So after the numbers were ran, we were able to offer a little bit more on the house because we did go into a bidding war with only, I think it was only with 3 other buyers. So we offered $3,000 more than their listing price, which was 162, because the owners were literally going to leave everything: TVs, couches, beds, bed frames, washer and dryer, all the appliances, all the stainless steel appliances, they left in this house for us. So we knew that that was an expense that we were gonna have to put out of pocket, but if we can include that in the mortgage and that way we can use the money we have in our bank to do other projects or to buy other furniture, then that was a win-win for us. So we knew offering $3,000 more was an amazing deal, and if we could get it, it was gonna be great. Our offer was the 162 plus having closing costs included in the mortgage, which was gonna bring our total up to $170,000. So that was $20,000 more than what I was pre-qualified for. But with the numbers of taxes, escrow, and a bunch of other numbers that are included in that, I don't know specifics. Again, I'm not a realtor. The amount that we would pay monthly was still below $1,350. It ended up being $1,341, which was below our range, which means that we would still be qualified for the house. So we put in our offer. 7 days later, the buyers approved our offer, which was on Valentine's Day. We couldn't believe that it happened that fast. I walked into a random seminar, walked out with my pre-qualification letter. A few days after that, we go and look at houses, and then less than a week later, our offer gets approved. So we begin the process of closing on the house. So in order to hold the house, we needed to put down $1,000 deposit. So that puts the house on hold while we get the inspection done, which is mandatory. You could get a house without the inspection, but that's not recommended because you don't know what could be wrong in the house. So we got the inspection done, which was a $350 cost that we didn't think we were gonna have. We didn't know we had to do that. So anticipate an inspection cost, which for us was $350. I think it depends on how big your house is. They ask you for the square footage. They give you the price based on that. So then on top of the inspection, you have to pay for a termite inspection, I believe it was. So that was $65. Sometimes the inspector might have a guy that they use, and it's easier to just do that because they get it done at the same time. Once our offer was accepted and we signed the papers to hold the house, it took about 35 to 40 days until we were able to move in. In the meantime, while the house was on hold, we had to provide a lot of documents, and that is the most annoying part, which if you can prepare these documents ahead of time, it'll save you a lot of time. One wrong move that me and Tommy did was that we moved from house to house to house. You have to explain all the previous addresses that you lived in that are on your credit report. We had to provide the last 5 years of proof of residency, and we had to provide the information of our landlord. So I lived in that apartment for about 2.5 years, which I lived in the studio apartment that was upstairs 1 year with my cousin and then 1 year without. And then I lived in the bottom floor with Tommy, which we only stayed there for I think about like 8-9 months, but it was under the same landlord. So his recommendation was huge because that was the only place that we stayed at for a long time, and we faithfully made our payments. So I had to get his information. They called him, they verified everything. So make sure you have all your landlord's information, where you lived at. A copy of the lease is exactly what they're looking for, but if you can't find that, then at least provide with the landlord's information and the address and some kind of proof that you live there. So look on your credit report, see all the addresses that are listed there because they're going to ask you to explain every single one. Oh, another thing, even though the house is only going to be under my name, me and him are married, so regardless, the house is in both of our names, whether it's on paper or not. But his income couldn't be used for us to get approved for a higher amount, but it could be used to go towards the down payment of the house because he had a valid income source. So all the money that we were taking from his paycheck, we were putting it into our separate savings account that was specifically for the house. As long as they see where the money came from and where it went, then it's considered a valid source of income. So for income purposes, they'll go back 3 months. They're going to want every bank statement from the last 3 months, and they're going to see what you're paying every single month. So if you're paying your car payment, they're going to circle that. Okay, so you're paying $200 towards your car payment, you're paying $200 towards your car insurance, and they're going to add all that stuff up to see how much of a mortgage you qualify for, basically. So that's just an advice. If you are with somebody and they don't have good credit, but you want their income to be included somehow, you can include that income towards the down payment of the house, and all they're going to have you do is have that person sign something saying so-and-so has access to all the money in this account, which will be the account that the down payment will be coming out of. When I got pre-qualified, I had a 582. By the time we went to close, I had a 586. So it did not go up much. He had me pay off a couple more things, pay down a couple more things, and it just wasn't budging. So we did get killed on the interest rate. Our interest rate is 4.75%. Ouch. It is high. That is very high. But you can refinance. So my thought process was I didn't care about spending more on interest rate at that time because we wanted the house at that time. So I'd rather pay the bank a little bit more money to have the house when we need it than to keep renting and pay somebody else's mortgage for the next 2 years until my credit score was where it needed to be. You know, so for me, it was worth it. For us, it was totally worth it. Something else to consider, your mortgage changes every year. The amount that you pay for your mortgage will change every year depending on your taxes, your escrow, and your house insurance, which is another thing that you have to find before closing. They don't find that for you. We went through an insurance agency and they did all the work for us. We provided them with all the information and then found us the right quote for us that worked within our budget. So our mortgage when we first moved into the house was $1,342. Our mortgage 1 year later was $1,485. It went up $140 because our escrow wasn't enough and our taxes went up. So that means that we had to pay $150 more that we were not expecting. So this is our second year in the house. This year we're currently paying $1,445. So it did go down $40, but it's still $100 more than what we initially paid 2 years ago. So that's something else to consider when trying to get into a mortgage that is well within your means, is remembering that it can fluctuate, it can go up, it can go down. It depends on how much money you are putting into escrow, and if they calculate that you need more money next year, then they're gonna start taking more money, or you can pay it in a lump sum in the beginning of the year. Okay, so another question that I get asked a lot is how much money we paid in total for the down payment. So I have the exact number for you. So remember, I had to put $1,000 down in the beginning of the process, but that is included in the down payment at the end. So at the end, I had to write a check for $5,783.21. So add that with the $1,000 in total I needed for a $170,000 mortgage loan. I needed $6,783.21 as our down payment. Just to give you real life numbers, just to give you some kind of number to aim for in a way if you are looking to buy a house within that price range as well. We went through the first time home buyers program, which has its own qualifications, its own benefits, and it's something that you do want to take advantage for if this is your first time buying a home. But another option is a USDA loan, which is a loan that you don't have to put any money down. So it is a lot stricter as far as credit score, income purposes, and all that stuff. But if you can get into that and not have to put any money down at all, that's definitely an option to look into, because all that money that you save can go into furnishing the home and buying stuff to make your home a home. So definitely look into that as well. The last thing I wanted to talk about was just giving an advice on how to save money, because it is a lot of money to save up for and you have to be very, very strict with yourself. So I have 2 tips for you. One, if you're a visual person, which Tommy is a more visual person, but this did help us both, we invested in this monthly whiteboard. We wrote what month it was, we put our income every single Friday, and then we put in every single spot, we put the expenses. So we knew exactly how much we were getting in, we knew exactly how much was coming out, and how much we could save each month. So for us, we could save like $2,000 a month, and that was after paying all of our bills, buying food, and paying off the stuff that we needed to pay off. We knew we had at least $2,000 every single month that we were going to save and we were not going to touch. So that goes into my most important tip. This is the main reason why we were able to save the money as fast as we did. I went to our bank and I said, I want to open a savings account that I can transfer money into, but I can't transfer money out of. The only way I can take money out of this is if I drive to the bank in person and take it out. So he opened a separate account with its own account number, with its own identity, basically. And all he did was link it to ours only for the purpose for us to transfer money in. So that added inconvenience of having to get in the car and go take out money versus just being able to go on the phone and just be like, all right, transfer, was key to us saving the money. If we did not see it, it did not exist. So 100% that is the reason why we were able to save that money as fast as we did, is by doing that. Honestly, that's the best advice I can give you. So good luck to you guys in buying your home, and I hope that our story inspires you, that you do not have to have a perfect score in order to buy a house. Just save, 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 and I promise you it'll happen. I know it's a little bit more difficult right now in this time that we are because there's so many buyers, but you can totally do it. As always, I appreciate your love and support, and I'll see you guys in my next video.